Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show, we're talking about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Blind Spot. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode. The main overall plot for this episode was basically like there's this movie production company that's basically run by a group known as the Brigada, and basically the FBI is trying to stop it because unbeknownst to this actor, his name's Keith, he's basically essentially funding them doing the terrible crap that they've done. It's so interesting that the actor who plays Keith, it's the actor. At first I couldn't recognize. I was like, why do I recognize it? It's the actor who played Walt in on Lost, Michael's son, Walt. I was like, oh right, it hit me. I was like, that's so cool. It's even funny because Rich has this line where he's like, oh man, he's a kid actor. It's like, man, he was one of the ones that actually came up. He came up okay. It's like he could have easily turned into a Screech, which I don't know whether that's supposed to be like referencing the actor himself, or was it that like I wonder was that just like it's just. I'm thinking too much about it, but to me, it's like, I mean, it's like, oh yeah, because he was a kid when he was on Lost and everything. But it's like, oh yeah, here he is. Like, I thought that's what it was. Maybe it's supposed to be that. Maybe it's kind of a wink and a nudge to that. Once again, maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Also, the actor who played the producer, I think that's his producer, Bookie, he seems so familiar too. I just can't quite place him. But, so much good stuff I love in this episode, obviously, because Rich is in it. It's just like, it's so good. I love the interactions between everybody because you have like Keith showing up. It was like, oh my God, like I'm at the FBI. It's like, oh man, everything's so cool. You know, Kurt teaching him stuff on set as, you know, the FBI consultant, how to handle things. Also, the fact is that he's just like Rich is like, oh my God, I'm such a huge fan of yours, and just like trying to hug him, and he's like, oh, whoa. Rich obviously having some of the best lines in this episode. Like Tasha's like, I don't believe, you know, she was talking about how like they didn't believe Keith when he was talking about he had no idea about this whole situation, and then Patrick's like, nah, he's not that good of an actor, and you have like Rich being like, you shut your mouth, and it's just like it's so good. And also he had that line with Jane where he's basically, oh yeah, you know, be happy, you know, find your, you know, he's like, you know, turned me from a bad guy into a good guy. You know, I found my happy ending. It's like, you deserve to give yourself a happy ending. And then there's just kind of a lone pause and they look at each other and just keep walking. I immediately interpret that as like, oh, took that as a, like, you know, a dirty joke. Obviously he didn't mean it as one, but it came out sounding like, you know, there's an innuendo there. And I'm like, that's the only way I feel like that can be taken, not unless I'm missing other context to it. But it's so good. And also him coming through with the flamethrower at the end like that. He's like, this is so much better than a gun. And you've Kurt been like, put it down. It's like, we don't trust you with the gun. Why would we trust you with the flamethrower? So, because basically Brigado was trying to fund his attack, and it was them basically using like nerve gas. But obviously, fortunately, through an episode, they were stopped. I mean, ultimately, everything kind of worked out on that front. No, it pretty much all worked out on that front, so that's good. I don't know if we're going to be seeing like Keith going forward or not. Like whether he just be a character that kind of pops up like once or twice more. It just seems like a one-off character, but it'd be kind of interesting, especially because he's like, yo, because Kurt's like, oh yeah, no, when it's all said and done, you could come and join the FBI. He's like, really? He's like, no, not really. It's like, I've seen the way you handle a gun. No, that's why Kurt didn't want to give him a gun before. It's like, no, I've seen how you handle guns, so. That's one side of the story. Another side of the story deals with Roman and Blake. Seems like obviously he's keeping a very close eye on her. We still don't know what it is exactly that he's after, but it seems like it's definitely related to her family because he's trying everything he can to get close to her, but I assume that's to get close to her family. Because he set up that whole thing of like, oh, set up that fake like mugging, and he's like, oh, I got hurt and everything. She's like, oh, you can stay at my place. So I don't know whether that's just whether he was trying to get to her place or well, no, because this isn't her actual place, like her actual house. Like I think, well, is it? I forgot. No, I don't think that was like their actual like house that maybe she was staying at. Maybe while she was in Barcelona, that's where she was staying. But nevertheless, it's just showing you further and further of how like Roman is pushing to get closer to her. But the question is, why? And it seems like it has to do specifically with her family, or maybe Blake has a connection to someone else that is like, you know, she's just kind of the middle ground. And I think no matter what, I'm still pushing for that feeling of like when it's all said and done, Roman is going to actually get pretty close to Blake, because Roman's never really gotten close to anyone. The last time we ever saw that was that serpent gang that they crossed paths with last season. Like Roman got close to her, but it was like in particular Remy kind of interfered. She was kind of telling Roman to kind of focus more on the mission and not be so caught up. And so that's one of the only times we've ever seen Roman really care about someone. I mean, other than Remy. But I mean, for right now, it's like it's all a mission, and it seems like he's compartmentalizing things. I mean, I think for him, he's got his mission in mind, which once again, we still don't know what it is. Like, he stopped the Brigada in this episode, but it's like, what is his end goal? We know that everything Shepard was doing was ultimately leading to basically a changing government and kind of, so it's like, what could this all be for? Because you're stopping bad guys, sure. Same thing happened for the first tattoos, but it's like ultimately it had like supposedly like a bad result in the end of it. So it's like, what's the result for this one? Is it that when it's all said and done, like you'll have Roman sweeping in of basically every group and organization that fell apart because of the FBI's interference with the tattoos and everything? Will he just swoop in and kind of take control of them, or he's cracked like the Brigada, for example, in this situation? Does that mean it leaves an open market for him to try and benefit from it? Like, is he interested in that? Like, we don't know we know his main focus right now is destroying the FBI task force that, Reed, Kurt, Jane, Tasha, and Patterson, destroying their trust within each other. But other than that, it's like, we don't know what else he has planned. So, and another thing that popped up this episode is the whole conversation about what are we going to do about the whole Jane's daughter situation, because it's like Kurt is still hiding. It's like, what went down in Barcelona that makes him so afraid for Jane to know the truth? Because it's like, oh yeah, when it's all said and done, if the truth comes out, Jane won't feel the same way about Kurt. So it must be something that Kurt feels like he's responsible for, because if it was an accident, I don't think he'd be that terrified to tell Jane, because like there's been no hints at her daughter at all, but the moment it came up, Kurt's like, crap, like so that's why I'm like, I don't know whether he didn't believe her, or maybe he initially didn't believe her but then eventually found out like, no, you're in fact Jane's daughter. Maybe he didn't want to believe, like, we don't know how he felt about that whole situation, because like Jane wants to leave it alone, because it's like, my daughter has her own life, all I'm going to do is make matters worse, mixing my hectic life with hers. And obviously Patterson is like, well, the fact of the matter is she might be looking for you. So it's not just 100% about you. It's also about her. Maybe, she wants to know answers. Maybe she wants to get to know you, get to know where she came from. You are half of who she is. And no, if you don't find her, she'll never get those answers. So it's not just about that. But I think it's also Patterson, like, you're my friend and I care about you. But it's like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. So ultimately it comes down to, Kurt being like, okay, give the information to me. We'll decide what to do about it with Jane, which it's information about a nurse who was there at the hospital at the time Jane gave birth. But, the nurse kept her own separate note. So Kurt doesn't tell Jane about it because Jane's like, she found her happy ending. So for her, it's like, I don't have to go searching for anything else. Which that whole situation just makes things worse for Kurt. So it's like, what is he going to do? Like, no matter what the situation is, he knows the end result. He knows whatever went down in Berlin. He knows that that's whatever that situation, whatever state it left Jane's daughter in, which I can only assume with all of this that she's dead. Not unless it's some weird thing where she's locked up in some prison or someone's got control of her. I assume it's like Kurt thinks she's dead. Not unless Roman actually has her and he's just playing this game even deeper just to kind of stick the knife in and kind of make it like twisting it a little bit. But it's like, what will he do with this information? Patterson's already released it. She already has this information, but it's like, she gave it to Kurt just so they wouldn't bother Jane about it. But eventually, who's to say Jane won't change her mind? And so what is Kurt going to do? Like, Jane says she doesn't want to know, but she has the right to know. I mean, the same thing with him and his daughter. It's like, he has he has a child, so he understands that situation perfectly, especially for Jane, because Jane never got to know her daughter. So it's like, what would he do? Like, would he sacrifice their relationship to make sure she knows the truth, even if the truth hurts? Is it better to know than not to know? Because ultimately, no matter what happens, Roman's going to reveal that some shape or form. Like another tattoo on her body is going to lead to it, or something, or Jane's going to stumble across some information. Something is going to lead her to her daughter. So the question is, like, do you tell her now, or do you just wait till her to find out on her own? Would it be better for her to find out on her own, or what? If she finds out on her own, will she know that Kurt's involved? It's like, oh, something happened to my daughter. Somebody was involved. They're going to pay. It might turn into a situation like that where it's like Jane's going to look for revenge on the person who did whatever to her daughter. So it's like, so it's going to put Kurt in that tough spot too. So I completely forgot to bring this up earlier when I was talking about the main overall plot of the episode. I really love the fact is that they had to like break into that safe, and it's like, oh, we got to get him to say these three different words like Excalibur, poodle skirt, and what was it, butterscotch, just the roundabout way. And I love the fact is that Rich got super excited because he was nervous, and she's like, what are you nervous about? He's like, well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, what if about this is my first time doing a movie pitch. It's like, it's not even real. He's like, well, yeah, but what if it actually sells, then it turns into a whole thing, and he's giving this whole plot summary and everything. I just thought it was kind of cool. That was not all that went down this episode too. We also have the other aspect of Hearst, because Tasha and Patterson told Jane and Kurt about this, which they were like, no, there's no way Reed's involved in this. Tasha's adamant about it. And they brought up a good point, because if Reed was involved, Hearst wouldn't be using Reed's name to cover up what she's doing, trying to frame him. So obviously Reed talks to Hearst about it, but it's like, nah, she's like, no, oh yeah, that whole Lowe's situation, I forgot I had a connection to him. And then later on he goes, well, you lied about it because you said you haven't talked to him in years, but you went to an event connected to him, which Hearst then promptly goes, oh right, there's that whole drug situation you went through, right? Oh yeah, like, not everyone knows about that, right? But I helped push you to the top. It's like, don't worry, I'll keep your secrets. I protect people. I protect my friends, or something like that. It's like, why would you do that? I mean, more so that's to assert dominance, to be like, I know your secret if I wanted to. If you try and come after me, I will destroy you, essentially. But it's like, why would you do that? I don't know. Because to me, I thought on some level there was still something there, because of that whole conversation where like Tasha came to Reed, and Reed was talking to Hearst about the whole State Department thing, him meeting with West and kind of lying about it. So it's like, what is that about? Maybe that's kind of like some interdepartment working together type of thing. Maybe like the whole Rossi getting away was on purpose. It's like they're secretly working together, but not letting anyone know. They're kind of keeping it very close, tight group. And maybe Hearst is the one that kind of suggested that in actuality she knows more. It's like, but who's she working with? Is she working with Roman or what? I mean, it feels weird if she's working with Roman, because she got introduced last season before Roman even stepped up his game. Not less Roman has been planning this even during the aspects of when, Shepard was still doing her thing, not less he was still working in the background. Or what? Has Hearst always been dirty? Is this like a Borden situation or what? Is she actually dirty, or is she just playing the tough angle that she just got so many secrets? It's hard to tell, especially, once again, she's covering up Stewart's murder, and it's like there's so much here. So now Reed is kind of all on team, like, nah, we got to figure out what's going on here. So I don't know where everything stands in that other situation. It kind of took me by surprise. Like I said, if anything, like I thought like her whole deal was like her and Reed are secretly working something. I figured it wasn't a bad thing. I was like, they're probably working an angle or something, like the whole covering up Stewart's murder. I was like, oh, that's something in particular that like the team's not supposed to know about, that eventually the team's going to find out. And it's like, I had to keep it a secret. I got orders from higher up, but it's like, nope. Not unless that's happening in Hearst. We just don't know. I also like the fact is about amongst that whole situation, the thing is that they're going to have to retake all of Jane's tattoo, because there's no guarantee that Hearst hasn't messed with them, which is so interesting. I'm surprised nothing like that ever happened before. Like someone got into the systems and never messed with their tattoos. That never came up like previously in the previous 2 seasons. So that was kind of interesting. That'd be kind of interesting if she did, but I doubt she did. But I mean, who's to say she hasn't? Like, that'd be a very interesting development if like her tattoos were like, obviously like the records of her tattoos were messed with. So they ended up sneaking the metal disc out. And I wonder, maybe that's kind of the long play here, that the whole point was to kind of get that disc out. I mean, the disc's only purpose is to show those tattoos, not unless it has a secret all in its own too. I mean, we still don't know. I mean, we don't even, did they bring that up in the premiere, how that exactly works? Why that works the way it did, and why it was like, oh yeah, it needs both Jane and Kurt to, I mean, more so it's like, oh, I'll bring you together so I can tear you apart type of thing. But still, even then, it's like, how does that, like I said, Roman's not smart enough to, like, I'm not saying he's an idiot, but this is like some like tech level stuff. So it's like, obviously Roman's not in this alone, where it is, right? I mean, that's crazy to think about. Like, he's so far only been set up as the only main antagonist this season, where Shepard had an entire organization backing her up. It's like, question is like, what's going on with like Roman? Is he the same thing? I mean, so far, like everything we've seen him do too has been like a single operative thing. Like it's not something like he needs like a whole team to handle. It's like all stuff he's been doing on his own. So it's like, once again, is he taking orders from someone? Is he dishing out the orders? I kind of feel like Roman kind of is playing the leading man role, but I'm pretty sure he's a supporting actor essentially. That the fact is he's taking orders from someone else, I think. To once again, to what ends, we don't know. And since I'm bringing it up so much, it's like I am cute, like especially because Jane was like she figured she would have to go to Shepard to get any answers. I'm like, I wonder will that come at any point in time, like them crossing paths, her having to sit down with her mom after all when it's all said and done. I feel like that's going to have to come, especially seeing as she's going up against Roman and everything. I feel like at some point in time, this is going to have to, because out of anyone, Jane doesn't remember everything about Roman. Shepard in the situation is the only one who remembers everything. Still don't know, once again, still don't know if Roman remembers everything. I assume, but still. But Shepard has the key to everything for both Remy and Roman. So it's kind of like, she's going to be needed sooner or later. We're just curious to see what circumstances will finally push him in that direction where they're going to have to talk to her. Because, Jane hasn't done it so far, mainly because it was just kind of like, I don't want to go down that path, so might not have a choice in the future, so. But all this, we'll just kind of have to wait till the next episode to really see, like, where all of this takes us. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, enjoy it. Good day and good